Amazon Prime is another movie exclusive for you to watch while you scroll through your socials, wondering if there's more to life than this. Let me know if you find out. Please. It's Ricky Stanicky, an R-rated comedy directed by one of the Farrelly brothers. Ooh, I don't like when they separate. Kind of like the Coen brothers did recently. That didn't work out well, but maybe this one will. Let's talk about Stanicky. It didn't work out well. Before I get into why, please think about subscribing to the channel Adam Does Movies as I post movie reviews, commentary, roasts, live streams every single week on the channel. It's movies all the time, baby. Sorry for calling you baby, but it felt right in the moment. So yeah, go ahead and subscribe, comment, like, do all that stuff. I'd appreciate it. What we have here in 2024 is an R-rated comedy by one of the Farrelly brothers. That seems like a win, right? That seems pretty good. I wish that was the case. I was genuinely excited to check this one out. Didn't see a trailer. I heard there was a new John Cena comedy in the works. I heard Zac Efron was in it. So when it showed up on the Prime homepage, I absolutely fired it up. And I was very quickly not thrilled with what I was seeing. The premise is quite simple and original, which I appreciate as well. We have three best friends who get in trouble when they're kids. They set fire to a neighbor's house accidentally on Halloween, and thinking quickly, they write down the name of a fake friend that they can put the blame on. Ricky Stanicky is born on that day, and he will continue to live on throughout these wild stories and adventures these three guys go on. It's a fun idea, it's a fun premise that never has anything fun behind it. Because the way the movie is shot, the way it's acted, the way it's written, is kind of just ugly, mean-spirited. This is actually a huge problem I had with Dumb and Dumber 2. Remember that chestnut? Dumb and Dumber 2? Farrelly brothers did it, the cast was back, but these characters felt just awful this time around. And not in the fun, silly way, not the ignorant, dumb way of the first. This time, they're just mean. So let's look at a show like Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Garbage people doing garbage things, yet that cast is so excellent at bouncing off of each other and playing the comedy up that you can't help but love these people. Ricky Stanicky does not have that in its leads. We're following three best friends. I put air quotes on that because these guys seem to hate each other. Listen, guys rib, guys joke, they joust, they poke, they play, they fondle, well, wait, what are we doing here? Listen, me and my buddies, we give each other shit all the time. That's part of being good friends. But the people in this movie seem to genuinely hate and despise one another. There is so much malice behind everything they say. It does not help that Zac Efron's playing the straight man here. He's the straight lead. And he is just miserable to watch in this movie, which is such a contrast from the fantastic performance he put in Iron Claw. I was actually very excited to see him again. He's also really good in the Neighbors movie, if you remember that comedy, Neighbors. But here, he just seems like he doesn't want to be on set ever. He sleepwalks through this entire film, occasionally just saying mean comments or just looking pissed in general. And not only do they seem to hate each other, they clearly hate everyone in their lives. Because this entire premise revolves around these three assholes going to Vegas, going to concerts, going to parties, doing whatever. And they use this fake friend Ricky Stanicky as their excuse. Oh, sorry, babe, I can't make it to the birthday today. Ricky's in the hospital. He's got the cancer's back. These people are trash. Why get married? Why go into a relationship if you have to come up with these elaborate excuses just to get away from the person? It's so juvenile and just kind of pathetic, and it makes these guys very, very unlikable and hard to even watch because, again, the jokes aren't landing. They're saying it with such a hatred towards each other that I'm not really sure who's supposed to be the protagonist at the end of the day that I'm rooting for. Now, we will talk about the one shining light in this entire shit show, and that's John Cena. John Cena's playing Rod. He's a failed actor. He's performing at these late night clubs, doing these horrible renditions of songs, changing the words out for basically masturbatory humor. That's the one note that he goes to every time. There was also some weird dog fetish thing going on that wasn't funny in the slightest, but they keep referencing it. The trio's gonna bump into him at a green screened bar. I say green screen because I'm pretty sure it was not real. There's a few different moments in this movie where they're sitting at a bar or a table and the background feels fake, like it was just put in after the fact. There's no other shots in the movie that really take you inside of the club or the bar, so I truly think that they weren't even there. It was just green screened in. This movie feels like it was made during COVID, during those times, or during the writer's strike, because nothing feels fleshed out. Everything feels rushed, cheap looking. But let's get back to Rod. Let's get back to our boy Cena, who is putting in the work. He's trying his best with the material, but again, his character has a dark history. He's a sad sack, and even when he's given it his all, doing this performative art as Ricky, memorizing characteristics from the Bible, which is this book the boys keep that have all their dirty little secrets about Ricky in them, he is knocking it out of the park, and these assholes don't care. They're like, great job, Ricky. Now get the fuck out of here. We don't want you around anymore. The dude clearly just wants to be part of something. He wants a friend. He wants someone he can hang out with, and these guys don't give him the time of day. There is a subplot, because this plot is essentially Sister Act, where the nuns need Sister Mary Clarence to come aboard and help out with the kids. Sister Mary Clarence also needs the nuns because she's escaping some bad guys in Vegas. It's the same plot here. These guys need Ricky. Ricky needs them because there's two guys after him as well. This thing does not really go anywhere. I mean, they do resolve it at the end, but you kind of forget it's even a thing because it hardly ever gets mentioned, and it's just kind of a lame side story. I mentioned the direction of this movie is very bizarre, and not only does it have a cheap feel to it, but also the way that Farley's framing some of this stuff just does not seem like his style at all. For instance, there's a scene that's not funny in the slightest, where a duck grabs a dog and pulls it into the water. This could have been framed up in a funny way. Maybe the camera's shaky and frantic, but for the most part, the camera's bolted. It's sitting in these kind of almost artsy shots with a little bit of a blur on it. It does not bring you into the moment, and it just comes off looking like, all right, we filmed this in 5 minutes. Let's move on and get something else done. This took place on a golf course, and I couldn't help but think about Happy Gilmore when he's wrestling that gator, beating the shit out of it, and how much better that movie was framed up, how much funnier it was. Since this is 2024, and Hollywood movies tend to get more out of touch as the years go by, this is another one of those films where everyone is stupidly wealthy, and even those that are supposed to be on hard times manage to live in very nice places. But my God, Zac Efron and his beautiful model reporter wife live in this insanely good-looking home. It looks like it came right out of a catalog. They drive this beautiful SUV that's polished to a T. I felt like I was watching a commercial for it half the time. I just can't connect to this at all. Is it so hard to put these people in a normal home, a middle-class home? They're all living in these California beautiful homes that probably run $5 or $6 million. While I do appreciate R-rated comedies coming back a little bit, we've had a few over the years, this ain't it. This was not it for me. It felt very low effort. The material felt half-baked. The cast was out of place. The way it's shot and directed is just puzzling. But please let me know your thoughts. I'd love to hear from you. March has been a shit show so far. Typically the earlier months are kind of the dumping ground for bad movies or mediocre films. It's definitely bearing fruit. It's definitely playing out that way. Let me know though if you saw Ricky Stanicky and if you thought it was great, a nice callback to 90s raunchy comedies, or if you're like me and you thought, no, it was maybe a sad attempt to do that, but failed on every conceivable level. Like the video again, subscribe if you haven't. I post tons of content, and I really want to emphasize Patreon this year, patreon.com/AdamDoesMovies. Not only do you get access to 300 exclusive videos over there and counting, but if you're at the gold membership level or higher for $10 a month, you get an exclusive vlog every single month. And this is a polished thing. This isn't just me with a stock camera talking. I got editing going on. There's a lot of fun footage. It's a great time. And then the higher up you go, the more vlogs you get, of course. But that's a big push I'm doing this year. If you could join me, I would love it. All right. Hopefully I see you next time. Take care.